Hey everyone, welcome to the Smiling Homeschooler Podcast. We're glad you can join us for this hot, sweaty episode. We are going to get started here in just a second, but before we do, I want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks for making this all possible. We appreciate their support. They're an amazing partner, an amazing math curriculum, and if you haven't checked them out, you definitely should. We really believe in their curriculum because we use it, and you can check them out over at teachingtextbooks.com. Also, thank you to Samaritan Ministries and Redeem Health Share, where members are committed to honoring Christ and serving one another through healthcare needs. As Dad likes to say, we use, love, and recommend Samaritan Ministries, and you can learn more in the show notes about Redeem Health Share by Samaritan Ministries. But Dad, if you're ready, go ahead and get started. Let's go.
Well, this is a perfect time to celebrate our America's 250th anniversary. It feels hot. It feels like summer. It feels like 4th of July. It feels like there should be flags waving, and we want to make that part of this the time we spend together, just kind of celebrating our country and how homeschooling is inextricably linked to America, really our founders. So many of them were homeschoolers, and it continues throughout. But I thought we'd start maybe with some trivia fun facts. So I don't have a very long list of trivia because it could be really hard. But who would you guess is the oldest person to sign the Declaration? Now, again,
Like at
Ben,
the time of signing?
yeah,
or they lived the longest?
What do you think? No, not
Ben's
live the
gonna
longest.
smoke me in all
I
these
don't know about
questions.
that.
Well, there aren't very many
obscure.
questions, but Ben was already kind of wrong because he in the write-up it says as we kind of celebrate our the 250th signing on July 4th, is really wasn't July 4th. There's like all this kind of back and forth of when they really signed it, but for all extensive purposes, we're going for July 4th. 1776.
Thomas Jefferson and John Adams counted it, so we'll count it too.
Okay, who's the oldest? Who would you guess?
My guess
is
is
it a
that
name you
guy
would
on
know?
Johnny Tremaine.
Yeah.
Remember that old guy on Johnny
Okay, but
Tremaine?
it's not
who,
him.
like,
Is it someone we would know?
Yes.
Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, that's who I
Benjamin
would
Franklin
guess
is
as well.
correct. No,
Yeah.
you didn't, though.
Well, I didn't know it was a
70
race. That's who I would have
He
said.
was 70 years old at the time, making the oldest person to sign the Declaration of Independence. And Catherine did, she was alluding to the classic Disney Revolutionary
Movie.
War, Boston Tea Party, Johnny Tremaine, also a book.
So good.
But the movie is so amazing. And
We should rent that this week. It's so good.
it is great. It's great. So if you look, it's not on Disney Plus, but if you're looking for it, you'd be. It's a good movie. How many people signed the Declaration, and who was the first to sign it?
I would have guessed John Hancock was the first.
John Hancock was the first. He wrote his name in massive script so King George III could read it without his spectacles.
I want to say they were like
And-
40 something, but I could be
Okay,
wrong.
you're gonna have to probably make a guess.
We'll say 83.
The correct answer, without going over, is 56. Catherine won that one
job.
as well. It's 2-0. Which two U.S. presidents
Wait,
died
why didn't
in
I
the
get John
exact-
Hancock?
He got.
Oh
he
yeah,
got-
yeah. That's a quarter point.
Okay.
Which two? Have you ever seen? And this is so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Who is it? What is that? It's a Muppets. That little
Or they're
king
like-
prawn. They have a game show, and it's like, hello, yeah. What is you just got 200,000 points, and you got 3.
Yeah,
You know? He
exactly.
just
And
makes
it's like,
fun
what
of that guy.
I've seen that where there'll be questions. There'll be like one person gets like, get spell cat. And then the other one's like, spell, some insanely long medical term. And it's like, just completely lopsided.
Okay, so Catherine's whomping on Ben so far.
Yeah.
Which two U.S. presidents died on the exact same day?
Thomas
Exactly.
Jefferson, John Adams.
That is correct. 50 years
50
later,
years.
on July 4th, 1826, both
Isn't that amazing?
Adams and Jefferson died.
Hey,
Adams,
isn't that in a movie too? Like National Treasure or something
I
like
don't
that?
know.
Oh,
Adams'
wow.
last words were reportedly,
I know.
Thomas Jefferson still survives.
Which he
Unaware
didn't know
that
he
is.
just died right before him.
Exactly.
Which is pretty crazy.
Like
Like they both basically willed themselves to live until that day because it was a huge deal to both of them. And John Adams was quite a bit older, like 10 years older, I think. So he was very old
Okay,
for that
so-
era.
they tied. Here's some other fun facts. There is a secret message on the back of the Declaration of Independence. Something is written there. Nicolas Cage did not find it in National Treasure. Do you know what was written on the back?
No idea.
It was
American
a recipe for
No. It was a map to Cibola. No. It's the original. It says original Declaration of Independence dated 4th of July, 1777. I didn't realize that there are 26 of the original Declaration copies exist today. Only 26. It said, I thought this was in 1989, someone paid $4 for an old picture at a flea market only to find a copy of the Declaration hidden inside.
Wow, that's so cool.
In 2000, TV producer Norman Lear purchased this copy for $8 million. And, I was also thinking, so just those fun facts. Also, this is like the weekend, of course, of fireworks celebrations. Probably only to be rivaled by the one at our house, which will pretty much be some old fireworks left over from last year. So I think that Kat's husband Josh bought. So we'll see if those even ignite this year. But would you like to guess who has the largest display that's going to be seen this year?
Is it a city or not? Like the DC, not
is it DC?
It is DC. It's going to. Organizers are launching 860,000 pyrotechnic. They call it events over a 40-minute period, obliterating the previous Guinness Book World Record. When Donald Trump described it, he said it's going to be huge. So they're gonna, which is amazing. That's a huge amount. It's gonna be launched from nearly
Trump instead of USA or something.
Probably, nearly 24 barges on the Potomac River and
that's gonna be spectacular
surrounding the Lincoln Memorial. So, and I thought this was interesting. The world's record for the largest single firework ever successfully launched was 62 inches. Like 62 inches, I think that's across.
Like a mortar?
Yes. Weighing 2,797 pounds. It was detonated by the Steamboat Factory Works in Steamboat Springs, Colorado in February 2020, setting the, whatever.
I wondered if it was, I saw Mr. Beast did a video where he launched, I thought it was the largest firework, but maybe it was that one, but not that time. So.
Oh yeah. So this was 4 feet 8.5 inches in diameter.
That's insane.
It was a custom 62-inch diameter steel tube, 26 feet deep, had to be built to withstand the pressure of the launch.
I mean, essentially that's just an cannon at that point.
Exactly. I don't know what the difference is. Would you like to guess what the world's largest fireworks store is? Because, everybody advertises it. I don't know, on your way to Florida, there's like at least 6. This is a world's largest fireworks store.
If I had to guess,
No
real
idea.
location, maybe. Man, I don't know. I was going to say like Texas, but they may not even allow them because of the deserts and stuff like that. But
I don't know. But the
That's
world's
somewhere
largest,
like Kentucky,
Kentucky.
or somewhere like that.
that's what I thought. It'd be like Crazy Pete
Or Florida.
something like that. Yeah, it is not. It's
They may not allow
located,
them
and we've
either.
been to this town, Hannibal, Missouri, home of Mark Twain.
Oh, yeah.
It's called the Fireworks Superstore. It's a humongous place. And our last
I feel like, did we go to that? That sounds like vaguely
we have been to
Been to
several.
Hannibal,
Our friends, the Reinhardts, always talked about Boomland down by Paducah, Kentucky. Like that was the biggest, and we did stop there. I was not impressed. But fireworks stores, I mean,
that's just what's going to happen with a store that's really geared for about 5 days out of the year, So, but one thing I did kind of.
I'm not done with my trivia here yet.
Go ahead.
Unless you're still talking about this. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is because everybody knows, if you have listened to us at all, that we're big Disney World fans. Would you like to guess the cost of the Magic Kingdom fireworks that they have every single night? And I'll give you can have a range. Would you like to guess how much?
30 to 40,000.
I was gonna say 50 to 50 plus.
It's 40 to 55,000 per night. Epcot spends about 25 to 35,000. Disney World's Hollywood Studios is about 10 to 15,000, making the entire Walt Disney World Resort every night they spend between $90,000 and $100,000 in fireworks, which
Inflation,
is
man, gets you.
amazing.
And for anyone who didn't know, they are the second largest purchaser of explosives outside of the military.
There you go. There you go. Now, what were you going to say, Ben?
No, I was just gonna say it'll be an interesting year and kind of building off that whole just kind of getting into the amazing country we do really live in, and I think that we are often forget, especially in a day and age where it's just not popular now to be patriotic and excited about the country we live in. But right now, as you may know, the World Cup's going on, and I've been seeing a bunch of social media posts of people from other countries just loving being here, and just massive. The Tartan Army, which is all the Scottish people, going to Boston and then now down in Miami and it's just super fun to see. But I was thinking a lot of them are going to be here for the 4th of July, which will be really interesting because it wraps up on the 19th. So the 250th year. And I don't think fireworks, I would be surprised if they were as big a deal in other countries as here. So I think for a lot of people, that's going to be really fun to see. But
they have fireworks, but people die afterwards.
Yeah. That's true. But I just think it's really cool to see like people who, not through politicizing it or anything else, just going to small towns in Texas or Kansas City, or things like that, and getting to just experience, Waffle House and Bass Pro Shop and, Walmart and Buc-ee's and just all these amazing things. And just, I saw so many videos of people talking about things like just how safe it was. They could just walk down the street and it was easy, and there was no, everything was, people give you water and, they're super kind and buy our meals. And I just thought it was really cool. And it was just kind of making me even nostalgic, or not nostalgic, but just extra, thankful for the country we live in, because we do have so many things that we just take for granted. Even like, this is something that blew my mind today. I saw, they said in Europe, and on the average year, about 40 to 60,000 people die from heat related incidents because they just don't have AC and they're not set up for like that, and that's just even that. It's just amazing.
Did you hear Disneyland Paris just shut down because they're having like a record breaking heat wave, and so they just shut down all outdoor activities because it's just so hot.
Yeah. So it really is pretty special. And Dad, I mean, obviously our main, goal, for this show is homeschooling and families. And I think, that is just something that really does set us, apart from so many countries in the world is homeschooling even. It's not something that is, worldwide available for everyone. And I'm just so thankful that we live in a country that we get to homeschool. But maybe you can lead us off more of that.
We're going to talk about that in just a second. But before we move on, because I know this is also a time where people are, doing summer vacations and taking those little trips. And what are some of your favorite historic, kind of patriotic places that you just felt like was tons of history? And I know I don't want to take anybody's, but I know talking just a few minutes ago, I mentioned something about Nicolas Cage and National Treasure. I know that we went to in Boston, not Boston. We went to Philadelphia where they signed the Declaration of Independence, and I know we had crossed or turned a corner where people were no longer saying, "Oh, this is where Benjamin Franklin stood." One of my kids, I think, said, "Oh, Nicolas Cage stood right over here."
I so wish I could have done all that stuff now that I've read so much more. But
yeah, I think Mount Vernon was really cool. I really liked the homes, like Mount Vernon and the Hermitage. I thought were super cool. I like the ones I was thinking with like a story, because I know Ben was always into the battlefields, and I didn't care for those as much. But like Wilson's Creek, I remember thinking that was really cool because we kind of did some of the research behind that, and it had like the story of the family behind it. But yeah, I mean, I think, like seeing Ford's Theater was super cool. Those were some of the ones that came to my mind. I remember thinking Antietam was really cool. That was one of the battlefields I actually did really like. It was like really sad and sobering, but I think that was maybe when I was a little bit older and felt like I got it a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many amazing places. And, someone mentioned like, how a lot of times Europeans and stuff will make fun of kind of, we don't travel as much, but I mean, our country is larger than all of Europe combined, basically, if you don't include like Russia, and stuff like that. So, I mean, we do have such an enormous amount of space and things to do. I mean, obviously we've talked about this in the past, but Gettysburg, I mean, I don't know if I've ever felt anything as solemn to me as Gettysburg. I know Catherine said the stories, but when you have read a lot about it, there's thousands of stories from each of those things, and just it really did feel like hollow ground to me, which was just something I've never really felt anywhere else, which was really cool. Something
I remember
I've got
thinking that at the Alamo too. That one just felt like,
that was really cool.
Whatever happened here was so awesome.
Yeah, not for the people who got it happened to, but
but just like the
everyone,
and
everyone else,
American courage.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Cool.
I really like, and if this is something you could ever do if you have boys especially, is we did the Battleship New Jersey and also the USS Yorktown, which is an aircraft carrier, but there's a lot of other ships throughout the country. There's submarines, there's destroyers, there's all sorts of different ships you can go on. I thought that's amazing, especially along the colonial, like older areas. There's old ships like the USS Constitution. I think that one may not let you anymore, but there's obviously like Jamestown. I think they have one. But there's just some really, I always loved getting to tour something like that, and they're just so enormous, and it just felt really close to the history, because I mean it's all there still. You can walk through it and explore it and get lost in it, and it was really pretty spectacular.
Well, I think that's the kind of because there are so many historic sites that feel like they're places where you can kind of cross history. Like Cal just got back from Hawaii and he went to Pearl Harbor, and it is kind of sobering, not just to go out and stand in the memorial, but to think that this is where 2,000 people went down in a boat at a point in history to really defending the freedoms that we enjoy, and to stand, to see the Liberty Bell and to hear those. I
mean, all that area is just, you can feel it.
Yeah, so much.
Just freedom, and what they did coursing through every inch of Philadelphia and Boston and some of those areas. I mean, obviously you got to go to DC at some point. I think there's just so much there, all the memorials and the Smithsonian museums. I do think if you have kids or you yourself just don't care about history or don't really get it or haven't really, just think it's boring, if you could even just go to something that is a historical thing, maybe even preferably like hands-on, or just something you can walk around. Not just like, I wouldn't even say just like a straight up museum, because it's like the Natural History Museum can be cool, but if you're not really into it, it may not be quite as cool. But if you can go to like an actual site of something, I think they're so well done, and it can really bring it home and make it come alive. I was also going to say, I am kind of gotten more into like NASA and space stuff, so there's definitely more I want to do with that. But we've talked about the Dayton Air Force Museum. That's not NASA or space, but it's really cool, and it's free, and it's in Ohio. But also I think it was Johnson Space Center. Is that what it was? Mm-hmm. Is that where we went?
Yeah.
Or Huntsville, Alabama?
Huntsville.
Yeah, they have a Saturn V rocket, which is just absolutely enormous, and things like that can really just make it feel so real. There's a lot of amazing
and there are
things.
just really, and if you're out on the East Coast, there's just so much out there in such a short period of time. But even like the Midwest and really everywhere, you can go to Springfield, Illinois, to the NC where Abraham Lincoln, the only home he ever
really cool.
purchased. You can see where he was buried. You can see
awesome
his law office. The museum is amazing. I mean, it was one of those, when you I don't know if you guys remember it, but when you walk back through, they take you to where like his tomb lays in state, and just there was this humming of glory, glory, hallelujah, and it just felt like, oh man. And it said like something, the George Washington, the father of our country, and Abraham Lincoln, the savior of our country, and it was just really, a poignant, plus all the other shows, interaction things were so amazing. So amazing.
It's really well.
I mean, every state has something. It may not be quite as, household as Gettysburg, for example, but I mean, even Indiana or, New Mexico. I mean, there's something has happened in every state, and chances are there is some kind of museum for it or something. So,
and really, they don't even have to be spectacular.
Yeah.
They can just be. We were in, I think, Memphis. Catherine was there. I don't think Ben was. And we went into a slavery house that had a underground railroad, and I think the whole thing kind of concludes where we're sitting down in their basement, and the ladies kind of they shut the door and we talk in this little cellar. It's a space not as big as my office, and we're talking, and I can remember going, "You guys have that RV out there? That's so cool!" And it just kind of ruined that moment. But it was, and it wasn't a spectacular thing, but it was just something, and it was
And really, if you have a kid who doesn't like history, like I didn't really care about history when I was a kid. I probably didn't appreciate a lot of the places we went to, but I remember those places way better than probably any books that we were reading at the time, because there is something so like magical and powerful in being there and walking the same path and seeing all the things that they might have seen. And it might be a good way to get your kid interested if they're not already.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Just the coming alive, I think, is just such a good job. And I mean, I've said it before, but touching the banister in Mount Vernon, where literally every historical founding father had touched, is just like, I mean, that was one where it's like, oh my goodness, so
because they let you walk right upstairs,
and
you can
just so cool. But real quick here, before we continue talking about just more of the freedom that we have, we wanted to thank Teaching Textbooks for just making the Smiling Homeschooler possible and supporting us all these years. They're an amazing math curriculum, and we really do believe in what they do, and they have a goal to help homeschoolers smile more during math time, which can be stressful and tough and frustrating. So if that's your homeschooling math period, then go check them out, teachingtextbooks.com, and give them a shot. We think you'll really like them.
We also want to thank Redeem Health Share of Samaritan Ministries for making today's show possible. Part of being a dad or a mom is making sure everyone is taken care of when medical emergencies happen. And everyone knows this summer can tend to bring those up. But you don't have to worry, because being members of Redeem gives you a peace of mind when it comes to unexpected medical burdens. So you can enjoy this summer and vacationing with your family. So check them out today at redeemhealthshare.org/familyman, or the link in the show notes. And you suddenly went, I can't hear you anymore.
I can't hear you, Ben.
I muted myself. I said, let's transition back into what we were kind of teasing earlier, which is just the freedom we have in homeschooling. Because that's really, something that I think is so unique, so special. We ahead of time, we're just talking about some of the people who were homeschooled in our country, which at the time, a lot of it, wasn't public school in the traditional sense. So, that was pretty normal. I mean, that was the common thing for a lot of some of the greatest leaders we've had. Can I read through some of these, Dad? Or did you want to?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, again, some of these, went to school at periods, but a lot of them did school at home. So like George Washington, James Madison, Andrew Jackson, John Adams, John Quincy Adams, which, I mean, people say John Quincy Adams was literally a genius. I mean, he had he learned like 7 languages. He was at every event from, young age all the way up. I mean, got to live his experiences, and he, became a president because he got to go through all this stuff, and also he had a dad that was president. But Grover Cleveland, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln. What did I say? What did you say?
About having a dad that's
president. That helps. I thought you said Adams. Yeah. Theodore Roosevelt, Alexander Graham Bell.
Did he have a podcast though?
Yeah, that's true. Famously, Thomas Edison, Eli Whitney, Orville and Wilbur Wright, George Patton, who's a general, Douglas MacArthur, General Robert E. Lee is a general, Louis Armstrong, which I didn't know, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington Carver, and even Taylor Swift, which I know, again, she's, traveling, doing all that. So, homeschooling, a lot of actors actually, you hear a lot about that, where they have to be homeschooled just because, it's flexible and allows you to do that. So theirs might look a little bit different than ours do, but they're all forms of homeschooling. And I just think that's so spectacular.
What amazes me is that really homeschooling and American history are inseparable.
Totally.
You
all
cannot. I think the media might try to show that homeschooling is a modern invention reserved for backward deplorables, but they're ignoring the historical fact that so much of history and those who forged this country were raised in a God-invented thing that parents were capable of teaching their children everything they needed to know for success. And I think, again, as we're celebrating 250 years of America, I mean, really, as homeschoolers, we should be celebrating 250 years of American homeschooling. And you're a part of that. And that's an amazing thing. I don't think we should forget that these people were educated at home. And the list really could go on forever. You can type in 100 influential homeschoolers, and they're all in there. I just did a few. But that is, we're a part of something really, really big that continues today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I got a trivia question for you when I was looking up which presidents were homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the only president who didn't receive any like formal education, was never in a classroom or even was taught at home?
Donald Trump.
No.
Who
what does that
didn't?
even mean? Like he just was like an orphan or something?
His parents were super poor, and his wife eventually taught him how to read and do like arithmetic.
I mean, it would have been an
Wow.
older one.
Bill Clinton.
I would have actually guessed like Andrew Jackson or something like that,
No.
or Zachary Taylor
You're
or
close.
something like that.
Andrew Johnson.
No.
Do you know who that was?
Yeah.
It was
Pretty much
Abraham
ruined our
Lincoln's
country.
vice president.
Showed.
But yeah, I was like, wow, that's interesting that you can be president and never have any kind of formal education at the time.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he, I would say maybe did more damage than any other president almost, but
Maybe he should have
personally.
gone to school, you know?
Yeah, that's right. But that is just cool. And again, I mean, as you say, Dad, like it shows it's just parents being parents for all this time, and that's something that our country has, I think, traditionally been pretty strong in, is letting parents be the parent. And that's been weakened over the years, but there is still a strong undercurrent of that, and is so critical for our children. And, this is kind of more off topic, but I was just talking to someone recently, and they said they had a kid who's in public school, and, through the whole school year, this just so you know, for the people who don't finish the books, she went to public school. By the end of the school year, she was only 40% into the book, which not only, but I'm just saying, like, she had not completed it. The school was fine with that. Her mom spent an afternoon with her, and they wrapped up the whole rest of the school year in an afternoon, just because her daughter was just so bored. And so, like, she loved math, but she just was like, couldn't go at her pace. And it was just getting, just super frustrated and bored through the whole thing. And I was just like, there it is. That's the whole point. That's what's so awesome about this, is it can fit your lifestyle. It can fit your circumstance. It can fit your child. And everyone who's in school wants that. They just can't achieve it with 30 other kids at the same time. So,
yeah. Well, what makes me kind of not mad about that is that really even that it bothers me that we feel like we need to share stories of how homeschooling works. Like even these people that we listed, probably, your kids are not going to be the president. They're not going to be in the history books, probably. And that's okay. But I do feel like the world is trying, and maybe systematically, or maybe they're trying to show us that homeschooling doesn't work. That they do neglect to say these things about these people, or they do neglect, somehow they're telling a narrative. I think they want us to believe that we need to put our kids into school. And I just think, you're kidding me, right? Because it doesn't work. Homeschooling has proven it for 250 years plus since the beginning of time. When those first two homeschoolers, Adam and Eve, began training their children to continue beyond them.
And I think, though, this is also a good time to just remember, though, to not take it for granted. I mean, that 250 years ago, it didn't just start, and like they didn't just declare this, hey, we're a country. It took years and years and years of fighting. It took, hundreds of years of struggle and working on it. And, we're still obviously working through so many things, So I don't think we can take homeschooling for granted either. There's people want to take control back, and it is a battle. There's certain states even this year that have made some pretty drastic changes to homeschooling in their states that really makes it almost impossible or extremely difficult, and does take whatever that is from parents, control from parents, so we're not saying this at all just to be fearful or to be afraid, because I never think that's, the thing to do, but it's something to be aware of, and to realize that, people do actually make a difference. Talking to your homeschool state or homeschool group, the state level, they're definitely working at it, as with state representatives and people who are in government with the governors and all of that. That's so critical, especially in the states that are really difficult. I just think we can't take it for granted, because it is such a freedom that is so valuable.
Yeah. And that's why we believe so strongly in the state organizations. Yeah. The homeschool state organizations. Every state has one. If you're not familiar with them, you should make yourself familiar with your state organization, because they really they do it silently, but they spend lots of times combing through every bill, every proposal, looking for things that people might be trying to take that freedom away. And if you're an older homeschooler, you have kind of an obligation to continue to fight for the freedoms that you enjoyed so much with your children, and that you want to make sure your children will have as well. Well, Ben, that's a good place to stop. Cue the patriotic music, and why don't you take us out of here?
Yeah. And I did want to say one last thing is just, by not taking it for granted, I think it is instilling in our kids that what we have is something to be thankful for, to thank God for what we have. It's something that, I can do a better job of, is just, reminding our kids like, hey, this is really cool that we get to do this. Let's be thankful for that. Just because we want our kids to understand that what we're doing right now is something special. It's not the norm. It's not something to just, hey, it's what my parents do, but I don't really get it. We want them to understand why we do it and why it's awesome. So, and I truly believe that as a kid who was homeschooled and now am homeschooling. So, but again, we want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks for making this all possible. Go support them, teachingtextbooks.com. They're an amazing math curriculum, and we really appreciate their support. Also, thank you to Samaritan Ministries and Redeem Health Share, where members are committed to honoring Christ and serving one another through healthcare needs. As my dad Todd likes to say, we use, love, and recommend Samaritan Ministries, and you can learn more in the show notes about Redeem Health Share by Samaritan Ministries. Everyone have a great week. Have a great 4th of July, and don't forget to smile.